Hey everybody, I'm Ryan. This is Weekend Mountain Biker, and I just got back from the gym where I had a crazy intense endurance style leg workout. Check it out. Alright, so here we go. I start my warm-ups by just doing exactly the same thing I'm going to be doing in my workout, the same moves that I'm going to be doing. I just do them a little slower, a little more cautious. Don't push myself on them to let the joints get lubed up and warmed up. But then we're off to the races. Now this is an endurance workout. So the way I look at it is you've got to mix things up. You got to attack the muscles from a lot of different directions. I typically like to start with squats because squats are overall pretty full body, gets things going. And then I go into the lunges, which now you're isolating one leg in a straightforward direction. Then you'll notice I kick it over there to the side jumps. Now you're working the inner and outer parts of your thighs. And then I go straight from the side jumps to working on a Bosu ball. That right there is what you're doing is stabilizing. You're utilizing all the little muscles to try and keep your foot real stable. A little later here, you're going to notice there's a good angle, and you can see how much the foot actually wobbles while you're trying to stay balanced on there. So now here I start to push up the speed and the intensity, but you're going to notice also I don't increase the weight. It's merely shortening the rests, speeding up the workout, and by doing that, progressively, it just gets harder and harder and harder. I don't squat down too deep. Not a young man, and I want to protect my knees. So I don't go too deep, and on the step-ups, I don't go too high. And with the side steps, you always want to be careful how you're going up and how you're coming down because it is a sideways pressure on the knee when you hit down. So stay light on your toes, stay controlled when you're going from side to side on a high platform like that. Now this is where you can see how much wobble actually occurs. The muscles start to get fatigued after, the big muscles start to get fatigued after doing the other exercises. That forces all of the small muscles to take over. All those little connector muscles and tie-in muscles that are underneath the big muscles now have to step up to the plate because the big muscles are exhausted. And the other benefit to doing balance work, and I do balance work in every part of my workout. It doesn't matter whether I'm doing heavy workouts, whether I'm doing endurance workouts, whether I'm doing speed training, explosive training. I'm always throwing in different forms of balance workouts because not only do they work those little stabilizing muscles, but in addition to that, it's proven that they strengthen, tighten, and make more durable your tendons and ligaments. So as we get older, you can never have strong enough tendons and ligaments. You'll also notice that I do about 5 sets through this rotation, and I do make minor tweaks here and there as I'm going through it, but it's repetition. Just like when you're on the mountain bike, when you're on the trail, you're kind of doing the same move with little variations for an hour, 2 hours. Well, your workout should in some way mimic that. You want to keep things rolling, you want to keep the pressure on the muscles, keep the burn going, but add a little diversity in there so that you're attacking the muscles from all different directions. The other thing I find is when you're in a gym, setting up a workout that you can stay in a kind of a localized area is beneficial. You have a lot of people moving around, you don't want to get in other people's way, and you don't want people getting in your way as you're getting into a groove. At this point, the pain that I start to feel is real, and the actual muscles start to shut down on you. Once the burn and the pain gets to a certain point, it gets pretty hard to keep things moving because your nervous system just wants to shut it down. Burn is okay. Joint pain, not so good. So if you're experiencing joint pain, you need to modify movements or pick different movements to either strengthen that joint or take some of the pressure off that joint. However, if you're a mountain biker, your knees and ankles and hips should probably be in semi-decent shape. Otherwise, you'd probably have a different hobby. I call these constipation squats. Once again, you got the wobble, but after your legs start to feel the burn and you're into your workout a little ways, holding these for 8 to 10 seconds at a clip is about as painful as it gets. But what this is doing is training your muscles, your nervous system, your circulatory system to handle the buildup of lactic acid. That's part of endurance training, is teaching the muscles how to process the acid and to increase the blood flow to compensate for demand. And there's no way to accomplish that other than pain and making them do it. So after I do some more constipation squats, my legs have pretty much had it. And it's time to mix it up a little bit. Take a little bit of the pressure off my legs and transfer it to my core. So I start throwing in some abs. That's kind of a trick to keep your heart rate going, to keep the training going, is you can switch to a different muscle group. Now, when you're doing abs, you can feel it a little bit in your legs, but your mind is primarily focused now on your core, which gives you a little breather from your legs. It also gives you an opportunity to work on your breathing. So now I'm switching it over to inner and outer thigh. You'll notice I kind of hunch over when I do outer thigh, and that's because I want to feel certain muscles work in a certain way. And so there's a few different variations you can do on this machine, but by leaning forward, I feel it kind of isolates it to where I want to attack. Now, the problem with working on machines is sometimes you gotta wait for somebody, which I did bump into a little bit here. But he was friendly enough and we could work in and not get in each other's way too much. These are great exercises for stabilizing your legs and your hips. When you think about taking a hard turn on your mountain bike and you need to twist your legs and lean to the side and put all the pressure onto your outer thigh, these are an exercise that helps you in that regard. Not to mention, when you're working in inner and outer thigh and those muscles have some durability to them, it will help you, it will help prevent groin injuries, which are not that uncommon. There we go, a little friendly, patient waiting. I didn't mind at this point. I was already feeling pretty whooped. When you see people stumbling around in the gym, you know it's leg day. On these, I try to bounce back and forth as fast as possible, because basically while you're working the outside, the inside is resting. You jump over to the other machine, hit 20 to 25 to 30 reps. On the inside, the outside is resting. So I like to just bang back and forth as quick as possible, when possible. And do maybe 3 or 4 rotations. Alright, so now this is focusing on my low back, a little bit in your shoulder blades, your butt, your hamstrings, and by doing it one-handed, a little bit of core torsion. Now if I were doing straight deadlifts like this, stiff leg deadlifts with a bar or something, the weight that I would use would probably be much heavier, but when you're doing cross torsion movement like this, you don't need to get too heavy. You don't want to get too heavy. You're better off staying in control, doing a lighter weight, and throwing in a few more reps. Once again, going back to balance work, you see the wobble going on. Your body's trying to stabilize it. I do different variations on this by my lifted foot position. Sometimes I'll hold my hand over my head like I'm doing now. Sometimes I'll hold weight over my head. Sometimes I'll even hold a medicine ball in front of me and do a slow rotation left and right while trying to maintain balance on that board. Can't stress enough how important it is to train all those little components if you want to have longevity in your riding or whatever activity you're doing. Now throwing in abs. Here I slowed it down. This is a great ab exercise for mountain bikers. It's just like riding a bike, but I like using the Bosu ball because it cradles your back. The beautiful thing about this exercise is you can do it on your bed, on the couch, anywhere you want to do it. And there's a few variations that I do as well. Sometimes I rotate my upper body so that my right shoulder goes to my left knee, left shoulder goes to my right knee as they come up. That adds just another level of difficulty. So that's it. That was one of my endurance leg workouts. The whole workout takes only about 40 minutes, I think. Unless somebody gets in your way, that slows you down a little bit. But I think one of the keys to making it an endurance workout is not the amount of weight you're moving, because if you notice, a lot of things are body weight movements. Diversity and keeping it moving. So you're trying to almost, in a way, replicate what you might do out on the trail. It has to be diverse. You have to be working your legs from all different angles. I usually do calves too. Today I'm a little short on time, so I didn't do my calves. But you got to do from all different angles and just keep it working. Let the burn build up and then switch to a different muscle group and let the burn build up and switch to another one. And when your legs are totally burned out, maybe switch to abs and try to keep the rest to a minimum. Keep the water coming into you just a little bit so you don't get sick, and keep the rotation going. But that's it. I mean, 40-45 minutes and you should be out of there. All right, so that's it for this episode of Weekend Mountain Biker. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that in this video, perhaps you saw some things, or you could pull some ideas out of what I do and apply them to your workout to get the most out of it. My next episode on Weekend Mountain Biker is going to be another ride video in the series Exploring Arizona Trails. And the area is going to be Apache Wash area. There's a number of trails over there. I'll highlight a couple of them. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed watching me suffer a little bit there in my workout. Please hit the subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up. And if I'm trying to get these out once a week, but if you want to know when they're hitting, please hit that bell notification and you'll get the update. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, it is about having fun and staying healthy.